Welcome to the lecture on the family, marriage, and intra-household bargaining. In this lecture, we will basically look to the intra-household dynamics and economic relations within the household, as well as we will also look how these relations are related to the market relations. And next time, actually, we will look how to give value to the intra-household tasks and economic activities, and that also will shed some extra light in the economic activity that is happening inside of the household. We should note that the activity that exists inside of the household, can be categorized as production, consumption, and also division of the resources, and also the decision-making process, basically. And as a starting point, I would like to show you a video on the divorce rates. This is especially interesting because, as we will see, within the household, whenever the two major adult members of a typical small family unit do not get along or could not agree on share of work or division of resources or overall decision making power, divorce is the ultimate ultimate thing they can do. So to what extent that the divorce is actually happening is, in that sense, an interesting question to ask, and you can watch on the video some information on it. You can get from the video some information on it. So I'm assuming you have watched it, and I'm continuing. This week I have included all 4 articles, although my focus points in all articles are usually not the whole article but part of it. The first article is actually the study of the household work and household economics within the household, and it looks to 2 different economics schools, neoclassical school and the Marxist school, and talks on how much within each of these schools household work is covered. The name of the article is not the name of the article is never intended to be theory of everything, basically. So main idea is in both schools there are some flows, and those flows, some economists within those schools have aimed to overcome those flows and include household into the economics as a science, the economic activities within the household. However, there have been significant problems or significant limits when either of these schools attempt to integrate household work into the economic analysis. In case of neoclassical analysis, it starts with separation of public and private. In neoclassical analysis, we have private places, private sphere, and private spheres decision-making processes and resources, and they are studied, but private sphere is usually considered as a sphere of consumption, and production happens at the public sphere, basically, and to make things worse, actually, it also has money as a tool to measure value of economic activities. So, in an economic framework where money is not used as a tool that regulates or at least plays a role in the economic system in valuation process, it is difficult to measure the value of the things that are produced. And we will see those problems especially in the next chapter. And then we have, as I have said before, households are agents of consumption. They are not considered as a production units. Well, separation of public and private also means by basically when we look to the private, usually well, the agents that represent the private sphere, households, are considered as single decision-making units. So we assume a certain decision is made within the household, and we don't look how this decision is actually formed. Or if we look, we assume as if this household is a single person with a clear preferences and clear choices. Even for a single person, clear preferences and clear choices don't necessarily exist. But for a household with even 3 members or 2 members, it's even more difficult. So consumption, the first basic study of the household was on the consumption decisions, how those decisions are made, and how different consumption decisions results at different level of utility levels. To some extent, also it concentrate on that's more, I mean, local level, and just to make some suggestions to the families. Well, at some institutions, multiple use of the products were introduced, but mainly at academic level or at more policy making level, or at local education level, consumption decisions was at the center of the household study of the household, basically. In time, especially with the new home economics, the work that is done inside of the household and the role of that work in formation of the family and in terms of the whole economic system was also considered as a subject worth studying, especially that entered to the neoclassical type of studies, considering a different type of unpaid traditional family work, that is agriculture. In villages, basically, many people they produce grain, but part of the grain they produce is used for the households. Part of the food that is produced is used for the households. So they are not sold, but they could be sold, and they had a price. So certainly they are part of the national product, produced and consumed by the same family. Well, similarly, for different type of products that are produced in the family, we might assume they create some utility, and the household had also option, even though that product is produced at the private sphere. Well, the household has option of producing the same output also outside of the family, buy it from market, or buy intermediate goods or even raw materials in extreme cases and produce it within the household. what the family is actually choosing is a relevant question for the economics, and that's also how the new home economics started to also consider the household production as part of relevant part of households to be studied in the economics, and especially the major project is creating a monetary valuation for the household work. Basically, that's the other the main project, one of the major projects of the that was formed by New Home Economics, but this is also a project that is shared by the feminist economics, and some economists within the feminist school are very excited about it. Although some of them also heavily criticize it, and this is actually this is the next topic we are going to look at. So, main problems are, the first problem is the decision-making process. How are the decisions made when there are at least two people who are making decisions? And how can we even analyze that decision-making process? Bargaining process is usually used to look at it, but in neoclassical school, actually, the tools we have are not that much developed to study the decision-making process in much detail. We might have at most a basic understanding of the decision-making process. So that's one problem. The other problem is the nature of the housework, the fact that the nature of the housework might be different from the nature of the paid work. So in paid work, there is a certain relation where the husband is the worker is work for the employer and take money, and the relation is clearly formed through the contract that is signed. But in case of household work, there is more to that. I mean, there are some family obligations, and some feelings are included, and people are actually living together. So what they do is not just for getting money, but they also form a living space and society, basically, a micro form of society. So in that sense, household work is different from the paid work, and that difference is also, I mean, some feminist economists especially specifically emphasize that difference, and that different nature create some problems when people try to make household work look like the paid work. And especially that part is especially, we will cover this in the care work part. Care work is actually a type of work which is, well, if you think about it, if someone needs care, the person is probably not able to, I mean, in many cases, even they can be unconscious, or at least they are unable to perform the basic tasks. So it is very much likely they might also not able to pay directly at the moment for the services. So someone in their place might pay for them. In some cases, of course, they might at least direct the person to the bank account. That's a possibility. If they are not unconscious and not in pain, for example, at the moment. When we are talking about it on a child or baby, even that's not possible. I mean, for many years, the child won't be able to pay for the care work performed for them. So it's a different type of work, and even when it is paid up for, it's a different type of work. And we will discuss these differences and how we can define the care work economy, both paid and unpaid, in also another chapter, and it would be one of the important chapters where these differences will also be emphasized.